Teka, may napapansin ka ba? Maniniwala ka ba na AI-generated videos sila? Realistic at unang tingin parang totoo. Sa social media, marami ako nakikitang ganito. From memes na nakakatawa to deepfakes na nakakapanlinlang ng kapwa-tao. Kaya ang tanong, why can AI be both a tool and a weapon?
AI is a technology that's been around for almost 70 years. It's been an aspiration to mimic human thought at the start, but now it's very different. So AI is a network or a suite or a bunch of different technologies that fall under this idea of trying to think at a human level.
AI should be able to serve humanity. So if we say serving humanity, so it has to be a force for good. And for AI to be a force for good, meron tayong tinatawag na mga principles around responsible AI. And these principles have to be followed regardless of your profession or regardless of what is your role in terms of doing your activities, transactions within the digital space.
The reason why people are interested in AI right now is because of the mode in which we can access AI. Prior to the launch of ChatGPT, AI existed around us. Your social media algorithms, sometimes even yung mga blocking ng, when there's material that would be blocked, those are AI. Our email, we had spam filters, those were AI. But the ability to create, yung generative AI, that's one, why it's big, and then its ability to process all of this information, and the fact that with zero code, with zero understanding of programming, we are able to actually use these devices.
Well, anyways, artificial intelligence, or specifically generative AI, has been famous because of its use to Filipinos since the pandemic.
Yung definitions natin are very important. And I do think, for example, may mga content creators na katuwaan lang and they're doing this for fun, it's jokey stuff, mostly harmless.
But we cannot discount that there are also a lot of content, a lot of content circulating in the different social media platforms wherein the intention of the content, right? It could be an audio, a video in the form of deepfake. It can also be social media scams, right? Wherein the intention is to spread the whole mammoth of information disorder.
Then you begin to question yung mga content creators, when they use this, ano yung ethical boundaries that they're putting for themselves? Yung content creator kasi pwedeng sumabit lang, like bad taste or but there are also disinformation actors. And that's what we need to be worried about. Specifically, those people who are involved in information operations that will use deep fakes to spread disinformation, to spread narratives, to make us believe things. Because, diba, dati seeing is believing.
Let's say in the perspective of scam in itself is a money-making industry, right? Unfortunately, deepfake is also transitioning into such. Well, the spread of deepfake, iba-iba kasing intention yan, So, of course, one would be, we cannot discount the fact that behind it is a black propaganda, right? Wherein the intention is, well, number one, nakakalungkot, is to erode trust. It could be our trust, could be towards, like a highly respected government official. There is also the perspective of financial fraud. The other one, ito yung nakakalungkot, is blackmailing or let's say extortion.
There are certain malign actors that are trying to influence the narratives. And deepfakes, cheap fakes, ganon, they're a really easy way to get people to believe things that they probably shouldn't.
But let's focus on the AI-generated videos. This could be a profit-generating platforms that has been used by Pinoy content creators on TikTok and Facebook for two purposes. One, for entertainment, memes, etc. And number two, can be used for misinformations and scam. Kaya alamin pa natin ng mas malalim as professionals and researchers explain what AI could be if they were used as a weapon for misinformation.
This entire issue is not just on artificial intelligence. Kailangan natin siya i-angkla at i-embed doon sa mas malaking problema of disinformation and yung disinformation economy. Because the way we see artificial intelligence, obviously it's just a tool, di ba? But how you use it depends on you.
The thing about generative AI is it sometimes feels like magic. You ask it a question and then it gives you all of these answers, and it sometimes feels creative and it feels like it's thinking of things. But the real truth of it is that generative AI is built on a lot of practices, and some of them have been problematic. With the proliferation of AI-generated content, how is this being used either to help us see through things and build more trusted systems, or is AI going to be used to spread more disinformation and to spread more untruth?
So what we have to understand is there's a lot of different factors on why content creators engage the content that they do. Sometimes it's financial, kasi gusto nila kumita. Sometimes it's political, because naniniwala talaga sila doon sa beliefs nila. Sometimes it's even social. May mga ibang content creators dyan na don't care about monetizing the content but care about the clout that they will receive.
Ayon sa International Trade Administration o ITA, ang AI ay isa sa mga nakapag-ambag sa ekonomiya ng isang bansa dahil sa digitalization, tulong sa mga lokal na industriya, at pag-improve ng pamumuhay ng mga Pilipino. Isang magandang halimbawa nito ay ang pagkakaroon ng kita ang mga AI content creators sa social media. Ngunit sa kakulangan ng ethical standards at regulations sa social media, ang AI naging hakbang ng ilang tao para gawing tulay na makapaghatid sa tao ng scam at misinformation.
And some of those work don't engage in narratives that are blatantly false. So what if you're just parang pinapabongo mo lang yung isang politician, right?
Kasi people in higher positions of power hold a lot of power. Therefore, may responsibility sila to people to try and get the truth right.
You have certain segments of the population who consume media, who consume all their information based on a political affiliation. Na tipong, wala na tayong shared space to talk about discourses. Meron tayong kanya-kanyang own filter, bubbles, and echo chambers wherein we get our information there, we talk about issues there, and everything is very much partisan, everything is very much political and one-sided.
Do we really know how to identify which one is true and which one is fake? Because if we are just being lured with the discussion and we tend to believe it over and over again and it accumulates a large mass, then definitely whatever would be, the choices, all of these things, let's say in the perspective of election, would be backing up certain political candidate. I mean, that is the reality of things, right?
Further lang niya yung polarization sa Philippine society. It aids in the fragmentation of the public sphere because it somehow bolsters yung current tactics and narratives of influence operations, no?
From an implementation perspective or a back-end perspective, normally, there is this deep learning algorithm. So what does it do? So this deep learning algorithm will practically study massive data. So different formats of data. So text is just one of those. So you have there your images, you have there your audio. And the intention of those is practically to mimic. Then once it mimics, so doon na nagkakaroon ng mga fabricated information, di ba, that they can actually post in these fictitious or suspicious social media pages.
So, nakanino ba ang problema?
To that point, media literacy, humanities education, respect for history, understanding of all of these things will help us in the future, whether it's specifically for identifying deepfakes or just being able to engage in society better.
I think it boils down to our attitude and culture, sadly. Because If you look at like the citizens of, the other progressive countries and even the citizens of developing countries like us, culture has a very good play in this, has a very large contribution. Like their adoption in terms of good technology, plus how comprehensive the regulations are.
Kami sa Sigla Research Center, we have a very sociological understanding and perspective when it comes to understanding the problem. Kasi hindi lang siya a matter of educational crisis that makes people a bit less resilient to information, a bit less circumspect dun sa information na nakukuha nila. But you can also blame the platforms, for social media platforms, for allowing these kinds of content to thrive. Ganitong mga viral content are the most incendiary ones, na tipong the more vicious it is, the more controversial it is. Yun yung kinakagat ng mga Pilipino. So by design, when you talk about content on social media, you can blame the social media platforms for it, and that there's a very minimal conversation in terms of how do we rein in yung mga big tech platforms to make sure that the content that we see out there is more responsible, is healthy. Turn to traditional media as your source of information, because if you talk about AI content farms, hindi mo alam kung ano yung allegiance nila, hindi mo alam kung bayad ba sila, hindi mo alam kung ano talaga yung motives nila. So it's very very much advisable to check their sources, make sure they're credible, and hindi lang sila nagsaspout ng very partisan content that they would want to see. Kailangan makita ng mga tao yung kabuuan ng perspectives on issues.